Hello. So a week ago I played this 5-stone handicap game against KataGo on OGS, and I was quite happy with how that video turned out. I could, since I could take all the time I needed, I could explain some of the variations I was thinking about throughout and so on. So I'll put a link in the description if you want to look at that one. But it was really long, it was 3 hours, so I'm expecting that not a lot of people want to sit through something like that, so I said I would make a quick review of it later, and I've been procrastinating a bit on it because since the game was so long and serious, I felt like I should review it in depth for myself before having something interesting to share, but turns out that the kind of game it was made it a bit hard for me to review, like with the normally I look at it together with AI, KataGo, and find mistakes and so on. But in this game, I went in with it thinking I'll probably lose. I just want to keep it as close as possible, and so I was okay everywhere with like giving up a little bit here and there to simplify the game, just keep as many points as I could. And KataGo, I think, also was playing without the playout doubling advantage setting, which can be used to make KataGo sort of try to exploit that the opponent is weaker. So basically, KataGo was playing as if sort of it didn't play any aggressive moves to try to catch up. It just played calmly as well and caught up little by little. So it's really sort of peaceful game, and the score changed really slowly. There weren't any like really big mistakes from me in terms of points, and of course KataGo didn't make any mistakes that I can comment on. So that sort of review didn't really make sense for this. So I think I'll just make a more casual. I'll just flick through the game and talk about some of my thoughts. And of course, if you want to see some part of it in more depth, you can check out the earlier video where I talk about like what I'm thinking about and so on. So KataGo started with this like attached Han in the upper right. I wasn't really sure what to do with this, but I ended up handling it like this. And I was a little bit worried in the game about like some possible complications like this, but I think any fight like this should be good for me. Worst case scenario, maybe like I die with the 2 stones in the corner and then I'm strong on the outside, and the game should still be very comfortable for me. So in the game, what ended up happening was we had this other simple Yoseki, and then white just sacrificed the 2 stones like this. So this is a great example of like my lookout throughout the game. I wanted to get results like this where I get solid territory. I'm never going to die with this group here. But I did probably give up a little bit locally. Like white got a little bit more than white deserved, probably, given that I started with like an enclosure here and white attached, and now can take scent again. So like white has played, is it 3 stones fewer than me in this area locally, and has quite a decent result, taking that into account. So this is sort of the story of the game. In every local situation, I will be trying to keep it simple and taking a small loss along the way, and sort of hoping that I can still stay ahead until the very end. Okay, so some simple Joseki here. White plays this sort of double approach to this jump, which is very common in handicap games. Makes a lot of sense to play as a human as well. Here I play this 2-space jump, which I think I'm pretty happy with. Again, this is the type of move that it might be like a little bit slack, but if I play this pincer instead, like white is going to jump out, and I have this weakness around M3. So it makes a lot of sense to me to play here, so that when white jumps out, I have a stronger shape here. I won't be able to make as many points here for myself, but also I don't have to worry about any white invasion here. And I think you also said in game that like when I play this type of shape, I'm always looking forward to some sort of this sequence is always quite nice. Even in an even game, but especially in handicap game like this, I think I would be happy to settle like this. White can probably in some way like live with the stones. Not sure about the sequence here, but even if white lives here, I won't be I will be strong at the outside, and I will be happy with the result. So getting to play a sequence like this would be very nice for me, I think. So naturally white prevents that, and I try to settle in the corner again. Just taking the points in the corner is maybe slightly submissive. I should maybe think about coming out somehow instead at this point. But it seems simple enough to just take the points like this. And here, of course, I'm threatening to basically connect up along the second line here, which would be quite nice. I will never have to worry about the safety of the corner in that case. So white wants to prevent that. And white could descend here, but that would be Gotha, so white plays this Hane to get Santa. I respond here, and now it's not as easy for me to connect here. Like in the future, white could Atari here, and now it's not as clear what's going to happen here. Like maybe I can Atari through, but then white is maybe alive here. If I'm not sure actually. It looks a bit difficult for white, but that's the sort of thing I don't want to get into. So I'm just assuming at this point that I won't be able to connect here for now. Okay, so white comes back and connects here, and now on the right side I'm really not thinking about invading here. I'm quite happy to just let white have this because there's other points to play. I can take points in other areas and let white eventually spend a move here. So I kick here. I briefly thought in the game about this one instead, but I thought in the end that this would be better because it's more towards this white area. But when white attaches here in the game, it felt a little bit awkward. I had a hard time responding to this. So I ended up playing this Hane, but now I have this cutting weakness. So I push. And now, yeah, I end up connecting this weakness here, but white gets to push down like this. And I have some problems here. I was thinking this would be okay for me. I had done some reading on these cuts here and thought, okay, I can capture this cutting stone in this way. And this cut is actually not too bad because I have this Atari that I can capture. And these two white stones won't be able to do much. So I had read this through, so it would be okay for me. But we will see how it turns out a little bit worse in the game actually. So at this point when white harness here, now is when I'm reading again here like this cut and see I think that should be okay, so I can afford to play away. If white gets this move here also, then of course, like if I'm continuing playing from this side, then continue playing here, and eventually, let's just play some random moves here. Let's say something like that. And eventually white gets to add a move here, then white gets a lot of points. So I wanted to show some fighting spirit by denying white finishing up this shape. This of course also cuts this shape, which I'm not thinking about attacking this really, but maybe white will feel inclined to defend it. This extension here looked quite slow to me. I wouldn't have seen something like this coming, and again I did the reading on the cuts up here and thought, I still don't think there's anything bad here. So I played from this side, but this probably was one of the mistakes to ignore this shape here, because white's sequence now with this cut was better than I thought, thanks to this Tsuji here. So like I said, I was just expecting this one directly. But when white plays here, I really can't cut this stone off. And so I'm sort of forced to just connect back like this. But then white has gotten this great exchange, can do the exact same thing as we talked about before, and later on white has the option to connect back at b15. So that's like a very big difference for the corner territory. So this is one of the first points in the games where I feel really outsmarted by KataGo, that I missed this one. So white got a cut here, but I did correctly read that this fighting like this would not be good for white. So white for some reason played this exchange, not sure about maybe that does make some sense actually. I'm not sure. We place this exchange and then cuts here, and I can capture the 2 stones here, but white gets to squeeze from the outside. So this is quite nice for white. Again, I'm happy to just have stayed safe. I'm glad we didn't enter into a kill or be killed fight, because then I would have lost the game, but still, this is a very good result for white locally. Like, white has this b15 move, and also white can play away now and is basically already connected with these 2 stones. Also, the upper side is not complete black territory yet, even though we can sort of imagine black having captured at d19, like this is a strong black shape. Still, there's space for white to come inside here. Okay, so we see, like with this move here, white is preparing to make some more points in the center. White plays this peep, which is annoying. Again, because if I, for instance, connect here, white has some double peep here, and this feels really bad. So I had this one, I didn't catch me completely by surprise. I had read this beforehand, and this was my plan, to let white live on the side, but get to push through like this. So I thought this would be okay. I give up some points, but I thought I should be pretty strong with this group, and now I get to reduce the center. And okay, white plays this squeeze. Connects here. This was interesting, where it seems sort of, to me it seems sort of unlikely that white wanted to play an ugly shape like this. I thought probably white will back off with some prettier shape like this. This is what if I was playing a human opponent around my own level, I might expect them to play a move like this. But this, even though it looks like a bad shape, it actually, there's not anything I can do right away here, so it's just a better move. Because this still leaves like lots of shape problems here, so looks like a pretty shape, but not really better in any way. Okay, white just blocks like that. I played this one, and this, in hindsight, I sort of underestimated how annoying this white cut would be. I really wanted to kill these stones later on, and I had to think about it a bit, but not sure if there's a better way for me to handle this. I still think this is a pretty nice exchange to, because if I don't play anything here in this area, let's just play whatever, it can like Atari here or something, and my shape is sort of broken up. So by playing this, at least I sort of have a connected shape here. Like, white either has to run away with his cutting stones, or else if I get to capture, then I'm super strong. And white has to spend a move to live. And here, part of the idea was also that, let's see, I didn't rule it away, but pretty soon I'm going to want to play here to set up this potential ko at e1, but this was another big part of the problem for me in this game, that this ko is really not possible for me to fight. So yeah, also I forgot to mention that at this point, when I read this part, I expected white to push here for some reason. I thought, oh, white would play like this. But it's actually a lot better to just capture. So this is pretty obvious once I see it on the board, but for some reason I missed it beforehand. That by playing like this, like, because after this sequence, now this is threatening the ko. If white wants to protect the ko, I already protected the corner in center. But if we imagine white captures, I play here, white protects the ko, then white in the future maybe wants to play c3 instead. Also, just like from this point, if I don't play anything, it's not at all clear that white would like to push here. It might be better in points to clamp. So like there's lots of reasons to not push first. Anyways, do this one. Here again, I was like, did some reading, I think, on surely white can't, do something crazy like this. This would be too bad shape. Now I do probably have something concrete here to kill these 2 white stones. But maybe white, I was expecting white to maybe try something like this, but now white takes the opportunity to fix the shape a little bit like this. And I tried sort of loose this around here, But now I'm in more uncomfortable territory. Finding the right move in an area like this is tricky. Um, Maybe in hindsight I should have played even closer because of course I'm still ahead in the game. It's so hard because so much of the knowing who is ahead in a game is based on not counting but sort of feeling how the game has went so far. And in a handicap game like this, I can feel that I'm losing a little bit with almost every exchange. I sort of feel that white got the better of me here, white got a better result here, and oh, this one was better for white. So I feel at this point like I'm behind, even though I'm still ahead by quite a bit, thanks to the 5 handicap stones from the beginning. So I can afford to play some really safe move, whatever. Like I don't have to play the strongest move. I can play what I'm comfortable with. And I thought this was a good one because it threatens to move into the right side and swallows this up, but it leaves a lot of issues here, for sure. So not sure if it's good. Also, this shape is not that strong. There will be some problems with it later, so it might very well be a good move, but maybe it's too hard for me to play against a super strong opponent. I don't know. Okay, now I didn't want to miss this just because this I thought it's so big for me. Like if I get the next move here, that's super big. So I was sort of hoping that white would just respond, but of course white won't let me have that for free. But I'm pretty happy about playing it even though white didn't respond. Like if I play something else, white is going to get this move soon and it's very big on points. Well, I'm not sure. Having said that, like this center seems bigger given what happened in the game, so I probably should have played in the center, but oh well, this is what I did. And white punished here. My thinking here is that even though I can't afford to jump in right away, like at least white will have to come back eventually to play b14 and then I get some other points. So I think it will be sort of okay, but of course white will then have gained by playing lots of other... Like when white eventually comes back in response here, the next move I get will not be as big as the stuff that white got instead there, so white has gained in this exchange. So I tried to handle this shape, and this is now where I'm really annoyed. I want to make sure to capture J5, so this is why I played a sort of weird sequence here, letting white come out with these stones, but I really mostly care about J4 here, because I don't want to worry about living with the corner group. Of course, it would be easy to live, but it's also because I still have this idea of wanting to threaten this ko, and if I didn't kill J4, then losing the ko would mean dying with the entire corner probably. So that would make the ko much heavier for me and make it impossible to play. So I thought it's really important for me to capture J4. But white has some really nice influence in the center now. So now white comes back here. So by now it is worth responding to that. I played this, which is also quite a big endgame move. I'm threatening S7 at this point. Which could be annoying, something like S7 or R7 for me. This is a cool looking move. I thought the idea with something like this would be white has some follow-up like this, which might sort of fix the problems here without having to spend a move for white. But in the game, white attacked here. And then I decided that I wanted to... Of course, I could just connect here, this would be fine. I could move out in the center later, but I thought if I play here, like even if white can capture, I should still be able to jump out like this. So I still have pretty good access to the center. And I think like it looks like there's some weakness here though. I think I probably missed this in the game. Right? No, this is just not working. But later on there are some problems there. So my plan with playing this one instead of just connecting was that now like something like this isn't as effective, so now white probably has to worry about R7, and white actually responded alright. So this made me feel good. This made me feel like, okay, this is a sort of threatening KataGo to play something on the right, and KataGo sort of believed my threat and played a slow move to defend. But I also said in the game that at this point it felt, I was pretty sure that I was behind at this point since KataGo sort of took the time to play a slow move like this. It felt like, oh, then KataGo probably has caught up back up by now. But turns out I was still doing fine in the game actually. Maybe I can quickly look at the Seems like I'm ahead by at least 20 points or so, according to the AR review here on OGS. So I did some rough counting in the game, but of course I wanted to count. When I counted, I did it sort of pessimistically for myself. Like I didn't count any points in this upper side here, and I didn't know what to count here for me. So when counting really pessimistically at this point, the game looked quite even. But turns out I am still quite a bit ahead. So now I did this. But white just ignores. That's the annoying part. Like if I could get this for free, that would be so nice. Like there's still this problem here at c3, but maybe I can, play this Han or the Sender or something to fix the corner points. So that would be a really nice exchange to get, but white denies me because starting this ko is quite hard for me. But I'm going to try it in the game. So white just takes points in the center. It's sort of interesting, like looking at the game from a sort of high level, just the big picture. It's very clear that what happened is that like I wanted to take solid points in the corners, so KataGo is left basically with the only option to take lots of points in the center, and it somehow found those points. Like it's from my perspective, it sounds so hard to make up for like solid corners, a little bit of side by just making points along the sides and center. But KataGo managed to make a lot of points in this area. And this is annoying shape, very nice shape for KataGo here, because like I said, here I could probably make this work. So with this one, it's a lot harder for me to come out there in some nice ways. I did in the game, let's see, first I played this stuff, then I came out like this. And I thought this would maybe work, like, let's say something like this would of course be great for me. But KataGo just clamps here and there's really not much I can do. Here there was some variation like this. I was thinking about this, but then now we see the problems here. Like even if white just connects, it may look like I'm able to connect like this, but then white has this double Atari here. So I will have to like give up these 3 stones, and again, I was not really prepared to do that. But maybe I should be. Maybe that's not really big. Maybe I'll just live in the corner at this point and it will be fine. Not sure. But I decided instead to start this ko, thought that maybe I could use some ko threats in the center. We see now white does decide to push here, because this means that when white captures here, this ko is... white finishes the ko by capturing rather than just connecting. So, like at this point, this exchange is nice for white, but then white can just play it now, so there's no need for white to have played it earlier on. So I connect here as a ko threat, and white just ignores because this corner is really, really big. But I get to at least take back a little bit in the center. I get to deny white to make all these points. But we're going to switch back soon again. Let's see here. Is Hane, Atari? Now I'm saying here I want to keep some of my corner points, and if you don't respond here, I can capture in center. So white places Atari on the outside. I'm saying okay, then I get to capture here. White does respond. And why did I do this one at this timing? This was probably one of my more big point losing mistakes. This seems like this is quite a big point to connect in the center here. But I thought this was big, and it may have something to do with the fact that there's some problems in the corner still. Like if I just play away, I might have been worried about what's going to happen here eventually, but like I'm connected, and like I could sort of understand it if I wanted to play like this to fix this cutting point. Like when white eventually captures here, I can connect, but then I didn't want to do that because then white gets this Atari. So I'm not sure. I don't really like this one. It's a big endgame move, but maybe I'm assuming L10 might be bigger. So white captures that one. Let's try to speed up here a bit. This I was really happy with. For some reason, this was confusing when white played here. I think this is. I I said in the game, I'm expecting that if white does play this, I guess it is bigger. Like, white wouldn't play this unless this is still good for white. But it's again because I assumed that I was losing at this point. I'm actually still doing okay. Let's look again at the... I had by around 10 points or so. Let's say like at this point. So I think this exchange not necessarily... Like, it's pretty close, I guess. But I think black would probably gain a little bit in that exchange. This was sort of a desperate... Well, it doesn't really gain anything with this exchange. This is one of those crazy AI, all the moves are losing, so I'm gonna try whatever moves. But it's hard when playing. I don't know if it's a crazy everything is winning or everything is losing from the AI, and I thought it was the... yeah, I thought wrong. Here, I was super happy to get to play this in a game. I'm not sure if I ever got to play this sort of endgame to Suji in a game, where if white captures like this, then it's nice that I later on get his Atari, so it's like, well, at least 1 point better because white gets to spend the next move, but in this case, this Atari is also worth a little bit of points for me, so it's, yeah, it's a small gain compared to, let's say I play just like this, then in the future if I cut here, white will just block like that. And at this time, white can't afford to do that because there is this nose to Suji here. So correct timing is to cut here right now, force white to capture like this, and then I can continue with this. But in the game I realized that this is not necessarily Senta. So I did some other stuff first. Yeah, now I still have, again, I'm playing with this mindset that I can't afford to give anything more up. If I knew I was still a few points ahead, maybe I would think differently about this ko in the low left. Because I sort of kept on fighting until then, but maybe I can find some place to simplify it. But we fight this ko for a bit. This is of course like a slight losing ko threat. If I wanted to maximize points, I could play something like this. But I thought when white plays this way, I get multiple more ko threats here, so this will probably allow me to win the ko, should be fine. Okay, let's, again, this is also a point losing ko threat, but I thought it's, if white wants to take the points, then again I get multiple ko threats, and that might also make this, probably will make this move here Senta, so that would be a gain for me. Okay, white pushes here. And here I think was, it might have been a mistake for me not to just respond here at this point. For some reason I really wanted this one. But even later, like, I'm still okay here. Let's narrow in on the point where the OGS review. Like, because after white, at this point, when white cuts here, yeah, I think in hindsight, I really should have just responded here. And I'm guessing I'm doing okay enough that I, like, even if I just give up this code like this, I get some other stuff, I'll still have a chance in this game. But I played this exchange. I'm not really sure if this is... Oh yeah, it is probably helping, right? I did need something here because otherwise this is might be like too late to do this now. So I had a reason to play that, but the problem is that still, even after that, white cuts here. I can't capture on this side because then white gets to somehow grill through like this. Feels quite bad. So I have to connect here, and I had read out that this is dead, but even though it's dead, white has this annoying endgame to Suji at T2 later on, which will reduce my points in the corner. So, let's see, now it's showing up the, let me take off the AR review, okay. So at this point, this was a clear, like, this is obviously a bad move. There's no reason to play here instead of like connecting or this one. I mean, it seems like there's no way this has to give more co-threats than something like this. Maybe it's not. I'm not sure actually. There's some counters anyway, but it seems like such an obvious bad move to play on first line like this. And I thought that, oh, it's because any move is winning at this point. But again, I'm still slightly ahead. I'm still slightly ahead here. It says +4 points here, not sure. So it's very slight, but this is where I made like the losing mistake, at least according to this review, which isn't that deep, but I think it was around here. Turns out that it was bigger to protect like this. Can I get this away? Like, so the problem is in the game, when I played here, turns out there's this cut here, where I can't actually, if I try to connect like this, I just get cut off. So at this point it was actually bigger to stay connected like this, and I lost a few points by allowing white to cut me off here. And this is the first time where I'm for real behind in the game. So it's really late that KataGo took it really slow and steady, getting back a little by little, and now just before the end of the game, white has caught back up and is ahead ever so slightly. And then still white has this Tsuji here. It is so annoying. If I descend here, there's some problems with this Ko, for instance, and you know there's multiple things, and then I ended up just connecting. This is in this way it's really clear that the two stones are dead. There's no Ko or anything, like I can just kill them, but white is going to get to connect up like this. So that's quite a big gain this late in the game. Now there's not really anything left to speak of. I mean, there is still this problem here. I sort of need a move here. I think I really fought. And at some point here... Okay, wait. So I connected... Yeah, here. White decided to just protect this one. I protected this one. Because now white is winning, so white doesn't even have to try something here. But I did, like, once we... So, let's see. At this point, the game is actually... like, we have played the last dummy, but we ended up playing some more moves, just taking stones off the board. KataGo didn't seem to want to pass until I had taken some stones off the board. So, while I got a bit impatient here, wanting to know the result, I checked the score estimator, and it said that white was winning by 1 point. And then I was really surprised, because I thought I was losing by a lot more than 1 point. And so I was really happy because I thought, oh, I managed to make it really close, and I felt like I had done my best towards the end and so on. But then I ended up losing by 6 points, and I was really confused by how could it change from the score estimator, like at this point saying losing by 1 point, even though everything is settled and everything looked correct. It was somehow wrong by 5 points. And only after I ended the video I realized it's because we were playing with 5 stones handicap, and in Chinese rules you generally give like -1 point for each handicap stone to sort of counteract the fact that compared to Japanese rules, it's like just having a stone on the board is worth a point. So it's sort of weird that the score estimator doesn't take that into account, but the scoring does and KataGo does. So like everything was in agreement except the score estimator. Okay, so let's just play out the last few moves. And yeah, the game ended here. I lost by 6 points in that. So I was like, I went in with it with so low expectations, thinking that I would lose by a lot. So losing by like just 6 points, I was quite happy about. It felt like, okay, it was so late that white gained the lead back that maybe if I keep trying a few more times, I might be able to beat KataGo in a game like this in the future. But looking at it a bit more like this in the days afterwards, I felt a lot more worse about it, a lot worse about it, because it's like, was I had like so late by 10 points in a late endgame and still managed to lose it. So when you just look at the whole score graph and realize that the whole game is just me losing points, and then losing in the end, it's a bit demoralizing. But of course, that's also to be expected. I did go in with the game plan of like that was the plan. The plan was to lose points until the end, but just hopefully not lose enough points to actually lose the game. So if I try this again, I need to keep slightly more points to have a chance of winning. But yeah, I hope this recap was interesting. And yeah, thank you for watching. See you in the next video.